Welcome back to Dion Talk. What is the best thing that I've ever purchased for myself? I retired in 2022 after investing for 12 years. I've been retired for 2 years now. And I was thinking the other day, as Christmas comes up, what is the best thing I've ever actually bought for myself? Not from someone else, but something that I got for me. And if you look around the tree, you see all the boxes full of guns that I'm buying for myself that clearly say from Santa. And in a couple of my recent videos, I've mentioned I'm making a video soon on the best thing I've ever purchased for myself. And I've had some friends leave comments or in text messages give me their guess at what they think this is the best thing I ever purchased for myself was. Most people, because not everybody thinks in terms of investing, said things like, well, you've purchased a Sea-Doo, you purchased scuba gear, you purchased paddle boards, which I didn't. They were actually a closing gift from the realtor when I bought a property. You purchased guns. They named things. And while those are some of the better things that I've purchased for myself, it's nice being financially free, financially independent, being able to buy those things for me, and knowing that it's not going to cause me to become a financial burden to my kids when I'm too old to work because I didn't waste my money on things I couldn't afford. These were things I purchased for myself while I was still able to invest, while I was still able to reach financial freedom, while I was still able to make work optional. And so then other people will say, well, maybe it's the bigger things in life, like you drove a compensator truck, a jacked up 250 with the compensator literally written across the tailgate. You had a Corvette for a while, you had a Ford Raptor. Maybe it's the trips you take. You took the Mediterranean cruise, the months in Portugal, the months in Thailand and Colombia and Australia of the United States, Florida. Yeah, where I spent a couple months there. And so it's the memories you make. And I think these are all great things. These are all on the list, people guessing these. And then the people who are interacting with me because of investing, they said things like, this is my son and a couple of other friends. Well, obviously, the things that gave you the most freedom and the most return that you would be happiest that you purchased for yourself would be your rentals. And this is the closest guess that nobody actually guessed the thing that I'm happiest I purchased for myself. Now, the rentals, that's top of the list, just under the thing I'm actually the most happy about. And I'll give you the example of, in 2013, I purchased the first duplex, right? And then I purchased one in 2015 and 17. And in 2020, I buy a fourplex and a triplex. In 2021, I buy a duplex. And then 2023, I buy a duplex. So these are all the assets that gave me financial freedom, that made me able to walk away from a good job at the end. It wasn't a high-paying job when I started there, but it was a nice job when I left. But when I started investing, the goal wasn't to own rental properties. The goal was financial freedom. And to use an example of that very first duplex, let's look at how the financial freedom comes from. And we'll take it out of real estate. Let's say that in 2015, you lent somebody $15,000, right? That was the cost of my down payment to do a 5% down, owner occupied, buying a duplex. So you lend somebody in 2013 $15,000. That person says, I'm going to hold this money. I'll pay you back anytime you want. You can actually have it all back, because between then and now, at any point in time, I could have sold the property. I could have done a cash out refinance. I could have taken out a home equity line of credit to get that money back from the property. But since I left the money there, since you lent the money to somebody in this example, they said, how about as soon as you lend it to me, I'll give you $1,200 a month, because that's what happened. I was living in an apartment paying $1,500 a month, moved into the duplex, and my part of the mortgage was $300. So it was like I was getting $1,200 a month back because I lent this money out. And that was just in 2013, right? This is the property I've had as far as investment purchases, the longest. I had a single family house before I was an investor, but I've had this one now 11 years. And since in those 11 years, there's been rent increases. There has been the opportunity to refinance to a lower interest rate. There's been a decade's worth of inflation to where now, since I lent out $15,000 in 2013, there's over $2,000 a month coming to me that I don't have to sell my life 1 hour at a time for, that I don't currently have to work for. Yeah, sometimes I answer a text. Not too long ago, a faucet outside won't stop leaking, so reach out to a handyman that is a plumber of mine, replaces it. I take some of the tenants' money from the rent they've been paying because I set it aside, and I pay the handyman. So there's a little bit of, I think there was a total of 3 texts there, and a Venmo transaction. So yeah, there's some work involved, but over $2,000 a month from a loan I did. I lent out $15,000 into this property 11 years ago, and it's still paying me over $2,000 per month. That is nice. Buying the rentals is nice because you take all of the rentals together and it produces over $20,000 a month in profit that I get to spend trying to figure out how to spend on a life traveling and doing things and helping other people get into investing, whether it's real estate, stocks, or crypto. I don't care what asset class you choose. The asset class I chose did give me the thing that I am the happiest that I bought. And when I think about this, I want to be really careful when I say this thing that I purchased, how important it is to me, how I'm so happy I figured out how to buy this thing and how I bought as much of it as I did, that I'm shocked that none of my friends guessed what this was. So maybe I don't talk often enough about how happy I am that the thing that I'm happy, the most happiest about, that I bought for myself, that I'm probably going to keep buying for myself. And this only works in my asset class. I haven't found another asset class where there's a version of it that works as well as this. But in 2013, when I lent $15,000 to the duplex, right? Put $15,000 in it because it's still mine. I just took it from the bank and I put it in the property. I purchased $285,000 in debt on that property. The next property, when I put a down payment on it and I purchased debt on that property. Rinse and repeat a few times. One time I made a huge mistake and paid off debt and I lost over $1 million because I paid off the debt. So right now, and as we're closing out 2025 and we have the season of giving, here's what my debt is giving me. If I started saving in 2011, like I did in this alternate timeline, and I saved up to buy a property all cash, with what I was making, with the way homes appreciated, with how hard it is to save when you don't have increased cash flow from cash flowing rentals, it's possible that I could maybe purchase one property between then and now. I would own a duplex. I would be house hacking. I would have a housing expense. I wouldn't be making any money. I would be working for another 15 or 20 years until Social Security kicked in and I got so old I couldn't work. I would be spending decades working. Instead of that, in 2013, I bought some debt. In 2015, I bought some debt. So in the last 11 years, I've purchased a little under $1.8 million in debt. That gets me these things. This is what that debt gets me. I get levered appreciation. So by buying the debt, so I owe a little less than $1.8 million, but the real estate is over $6.5 million in gross value. So when real estate appreciated in 2022, 2021, 19 and 24% in my state, I didn't gain the appreciation on what I've invested. I gained appreciation on over $6 million. Excuse me. With this debt, I have what's called levered depreciation. So even though I'm making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year in actual profit now for 3 years in a row, over $200,000, so I pluralize it. That's low six figures still. I think if it's only 200, but it's 200 and something. I still haven't paid a penny in rental income tax because I get to depreciate the buildings that the debt got me that are worth way more than the amount that I've invested. I get a form from buying this debt. I get a form of asset protection, right? If I have an insurance claim on one of my properties, it's not the insurance company against me. It's the insurance company against me knowing I have a lender involved. And that if I don't get this resolved, the lender's going to get involved. I have asset protection to where if I'm ever sued, the banks are in first position. Right? My properties that have mortgages on them aren't as much risk because the bank is in first position. Every month, this is what the debt gets me. Imagine if you had people who would put money into a savings account for you. In real estate, this is called principal pay down. When you first start, it's not much. That first duplex in 2013, about $300 a month was paying down the principal. But because of loan amortization, as you own a mortgage longer, as you own the debt longer, less and less of the payment goes towards the interest and more of the payment goes towards principal. So I've had that place now for 11 years. Now I did refinance to a lower rate. So my other properties, every single month now, I have almost $4,000 a month is going into an account of equity. I don't have to actively do anything. This is not appreciation. This is principal pay down. Even if the properties stayed at exactly the same value, I'm getting levered appreciation, levered depreciation, I'm getting principal pay down. But most importantly, I talked a bit about if I saved up and purchased a property all cash, the Dave Ramsey method, I might own one. Since I used debt, in a decade, I only purchased 8 properties. That's 18 rental units that produce enough cash flow. So I didn't buy the cash flow. I bought the properties and I bought the debt, which gives me the cash flow to make it so I never have to work again in my life. What bigger gift can you give to yourself other than time freedom? And I don't mean just quit your job and walk away and live under a bridge. I mean time freedom with the money to do all of the things I want to do. This comes from buying me the right things. The trips didn't buy me freedom. They happened because of the freedom. The nice vehicles didn't happen because I bought them for myself. I acquired assets that made it possible to buy them for myself. All of these guns that I'm very sorry when the paperwork was done, I had a boating accident next week and lost all the paperwork and all these guns were lost. Those happen because of the levered position I have in real estate that I'm happy I've spent a decade buying. And as contradictive as that sounds to what most people say, all debt is bad. There is bad debt. I don't have any credit card debt. I don't have any student loans. I don't have vehicle debt. I don't pay a mortgage on a primary residence. I house hack. I'm still house hacking. It's possible to have a life that's completely different than almost everyone you know. It's less than, I think Jaspreet Singh from Minority Mindset says 0.08% of people reach financial freedom before the age of retirement. What things can you buy yourself this coming year that in a decade you will be extremely happy you purchased for yourself? This was a nice short live stream on my phone where I don't see all of the comments until after the video. If you want your questions answered during a live stream every Tuesday, 4 p.m. Pacific, I do videos that last as long as the questions do.